You've brought us a really timely collection of thoughts and research on mindfulness and meditation. And, in this whirlwind of daily life, finding some mental space feels, well, less like a luxury and more essential, really.
Absolutely. It really does.
So for you today, we're diving deep into these sources. We want to pull out the practical stuff, the immediately useful things that kind of cut through the jargon and can genuinely help your day-to-day well-being.
Exactly. And what's fascinating right from the start is how these sources really emphasize the everyday nature of these practices. It's not about reaching some, far off enlightened state, but really about grounding ourselves right here, right now. We're looking at mindfulness, that knack for being present without the inner critic in meditation, which offers more structured ways to train that focus.
And the potential benefits, like you highlighted from the material, they're pretty significant. Seems like a real drop in stress and anxiety, sharper mental focus, maybe better handling of emotions.
Yeah, better emotional regulation.
And just a general uplift in how we feel. Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with the core. What is mindfulness, actually?
So, drawing from the sources you shared, mindfulness basically boils down to this incredibly simple yet often challenging act of being fully present in the moment.
Okay.
It's about observing your thoughts, your feelings, sensations in your body, your surroundings, but without immediately slapping a label on them like good or bad, right or wrong. It's a non-judgmental awareness of what is.
Right. And what struck me reading through this is how accessible it is. Like, this isn't some secret practice for, experts only. The material gives such relatable examples, doesn't it?
Totally.
Like truly paying attention while you're eating, or noticing your feet on the ground when you walk, or even being present doing something totally routine like washing dishes. It's about consciously shifting focus from like autopilot to actually experiencing whatever you're doing.
And what's insightful there is how it reframes those ordinary moments. Suddenly, these tasks we often just rush through, they become chances to connect with the present.
Yeah.
And the sources, they neatly lay out those key advantages: easing stress and anxiety, sharpening focus, improving emotional management, and that overall sense of well-being. It's almost like a domino effect, Each benefit supports the others.
Oh, so?
Well, by calmly observing a stressful thought without reacting immediately, you're essentially exercising that emotional regulation muscle. You're building resilience.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So we have a clearer picture of mindfulness and why it's beneficial. Now, the crucial bit.
Yeah.
How do we actually do it? The sources give us some really tangible techniques. Let's start with that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding thing.
Yes. This is a fantastic tool, especially when you feel that wave of overwhelm coming or when your thoughts are just racing in circles. It's a way to use your senses to really anchor you in the present. You intentionally name 5 things you can see around you, 4 things you can physically touch, 3 distinct sounds you can hear, 2 different smells you can notice, and 1 thing you can taste. It's very direct. It interrupts that anxiety cycle and brings your attention back to the concrete reality around you, like a quick reboot for your senses.
It really does sound like a handy mental reset button.
Okay.
And then there's mindful breathing. I think for a lot of people, meditation brings up images of like complex breathing stuff, but the sources here really stress just focusing on slow, deep breaths. Simple as that.
Exactly. Simple but powerful. And one of the sources even details the 4-7-8 technique, which gives the specific rhythm. Inhale deep through your nose for 4 seconds.
Okay.
Hold that breath gently for 7 seconds. And then exhale slowly, completely through your mouth for 8 seconds. What's interesting about this rhythm, particularly the longer exhale, is it can stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's like your body's natural brake system. Yeah, it helps slow your heart rate and brings on a sense of calm.
That physiological link makes total sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have the body scan meditation. This one sounds like it might need a bit more dedicated time, but the principle seems pretty accessible.
It does usually involve setting aside a specific period, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's essentially just a systematic way of bringing your attention to different parts of your body, usually starting at the top of your head and slowly moving down to your toes.
Right.
The aim isn't to fix anything you notice or change sensations, but simply to observe them without judgment. It can be a really powerful way to tune into where you might be holding tension. And just through that awareness, you can consciously encourage those areas to relax. You can do it lying down, sitting, whatever feels comfortable.
And the last of these initial techniques is mindful eating. I find this one particularly relevant because, well, we all eat multiple times a day.
Exactly.
It's about consciously slowing down, fully engaging with your food, noticing the smells, the textures, the different flavors in each bite.
Yeah, and if we connect this back to that central idea of mindfulness, mindful eating perfectly shows how we can apply that present moment awareness to a very specific everyday activity.
Right.
And as the sources point out, there are some really nice side benefits, like maybe improving digestion because you're eating slower, and definitely making meals more enjoyable and satisfying. It's a great reminder that mindfulness isn't just for formal meditation sessions. It's a way of being in all parts of your life.
Absolutely. And I think the material we've looked at does a great job of constantly emphasizing that core principle.
Yeah.
Mindfulness isn't about trying to get a blank mind where thoughts just vanish.
No, no, no.
It's simply about cultivating awareness of whatever thoughts, feelings, sensations are there without getting tangled up in judging them right then and there.
Okay, so we've got a solid handle on mindfulness. Now let's shift into the more structured practice, meditation.
Right. So meditation, as your sources describe it, is essentially a deliberate, structured way to train the mind. It's a practice.
It helps us develop our ability to focus attention and learn how to gently redirect our thoughts when they inevitably wander off, which they do.
Oh, they definitely do.
Yeah. And what's really encouraging is that the sources highlight that even short periods, just a few minutes each day, can bring significant benefits over time. It really removes that pressure of needing, long, perfect sessions to see results.
That's such a reassuring point, isn't it? Because I think for many, that idea of needing to sit for ages in perfect stillness is a real barrier to even starting.
Definitely.
So the sources break down 3 really accessible techniques for beginners. Let's start with focused attention meditation.
Okay. This is probably the classic image people have. You pick a single point of focus, could be the feeling of your breath going in and out, or maybe something external like a candle flame. The key is when your mind naturally starts to drift, and it will, that's just what minds do you gently. And without beating yourself up about it, bring your attention back to your chosen focus. It's that repeated act of gentle redirection that really strengthens your focus muscle, so to speak.
That emphasis on gentle redirection without self-criticism feels so important to remember. It's not about achieving perfection.
Absolutely not.
Then there's loving-kindness meditation. This one sounds particularly good for cultivating positive emotion.
It is, yeah. This practice involves intentionally cultivating feelings of warmth, kindness, compassion, usually starting by directing them towards someone you care about deeply.
Okay.
You might close your eyes, silently repeat phrases, wishing them happiness, peace, freedom from suffering. Then you gradually expand those feelings outward to yourself, very important. Then friends, family, acquaintances.
Yeah.
Even if you feel up to it, people you find difficult.
Wow.
It's a really powerful way to foster positive emotions and a sense of connection.
That sounds like it could really shift your whole perspective over time.
Yeah.
And the third technique mentioned is guided meditation. This seems like a really approachable entry point, especially for newbies.
Totally. Guided meditations are basically audio recordings that lead you through relaxation, visualizations, or specific meditation practices. They can be incredibly helpful because they provide structure, direct your focus, takes away some of the, am I doing this right, uncertainty.
Yeah, I can see that.
And like the sources mentioned, there's a ton of free resources, apps, YouTube channels, making it really easy to find guided meditations on almost any topic that resonates with you.
And just like with mindfulness, the sources keep reinforcing that meditation isn't about stopping thoughts. It's not like flipping an off switch.
Exactly. It's about developing that capacity to observe your thoughts as they pop up without getting carried away by them, without getting tangled in the stories they create.
That's such a crucial distinction, isn't it?
It really is. It's about creating a little bit of space, maybe a little distance between you and your thoughts, so you can start to choose how you respond rather than just reacting automatically all the time.
Okay, so he had these fantastic techniques, weaving mindfulness into everyday moments, and also these structured meditation practices. But the big question, how do we actually make this stick? How do we make it sustainable in our busy lives? The sources offer some really practical tips for that integration.
Right. This is where the rubber meets the road, isn't it? Translating concepts into actual habits. And the first piece of advice, echoed across the sources, is so important. Start incredibly small. You don't need to commit to 30 minutes every morning right off the bat. Even just 1 or 2 minutes of focused breathing during your day can make a real difference. It's about building that foundation of consistency first.
That feels so much more doable. And the idea of linking it to existing habits, that's brilliant. The sources suggest intentionally practicing mindfulness during stuff you already do, like brushing your teeth, or really savoring your morning coffee, or noticing your surroundings on your commute or walk, using those routine moments as triggers.
Exactly. It's consciously turning those autopilot moments into little check-ins with yourself and your senses, and using reminders like setting a phone notification or just a simple sticky note somewhere visible.
Yeah.
Or using a mindfulness app that can be surprisingly effective in prompting those little moments of intentional awareness throughout the day.
I also really appreciate the emphasis in the material on being kind to yourself through this process.
Oh, definitely.
Because I think a lot of people get discouraged if they miss a day, or if their mind feels extra busy during meditation. The sources remind us distraction is totally normal. It's part of it. The practice is gently redirecting focus back, without judgment.
That self-compassion piece is fundamental to building a practice that actually lasts. There will be days it feels easy, days it feels hard. That's okay. And the sources also reiterate the potential long-term rewards of consistent practice, that growing sense of inner peace, a noticeable reduction in stress, and overall enhancement of well-being. It's cumulative. The more consistently you practice, even in small doses, the more you'll likely feel those benefits stack up.
So as we bring this deep dive to a close, what would you say is the core message, the main takeaway you'd want our listener to hold on to?
I think the central insight, really supported by all the sources you brought, is that mindfulness and meditation, they aren't these complex out there pursuits. They're remarkably accessible and honestly profoundly powerful tools for nurturing your mental and emotional health. They aren't about achieving some perfect, unattainable state, but really about cultivating a greater awareness of the present moment, just as it is.
And as the sources really underscore, even dedicating just a few minutes each day to these simple practices can gradually but significantly shift your experience towards more calm, more clarity, and ultimately, a greater sense of overall happiness and well-being.
Yeah. Which brings maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. Looking back at all the techniques we've touched on today, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mindful breathing, body scans, focus attention, loving kindness, guided meditations. Which one feels maybe the most accessible or the most appealing for you to just experiment with?
Right.
Even just for a minute or two to start. It's really about beginning that personal journey of exploration, seeing what resonates for you.